Hey yo, it's time to make sushi with Shao. I made this. I don't know why I'm blowing it, it's cold. So, my wife and I did a sushi making class a little while ago and decided to make it at home. First things first, I had to find a proper fish supplier, like a Japanese fish supplier, because this is raw fish after all, and you don't want to eat nonsense and get sick. Managed to find one in southwest London, went there, spent a ton of money, not gonna lie, but the fish looked great, and bought a bunch of ingredients. We have here sushi rice. In Japanese, it's called sushi meshi. It's pretty integral to sushi, so you need to make sure you get the right one. Some people opt to make their own sushi rice. I am not one of those people. We also have soy sauce here. In Japanese, that's shoyu. I went for the low salt option because, healthy in that. And here is the backbone, in my opinion, of the whole thing. Sushi vinegar, in Japanese, sushizu. I'll talk more about that in a sec. And seaweed sheets, also known as nori. Also very, very important if you're making a particular type of sushi. More soy sauce packets, don't need that. Wasabi, if you know, you know. And the fish. So we've got salmon here, fatty tuna. Don't know why we're fat shaming the tuna, but whatever. Over here we got butterfish, never had that before. That right there is prawns and eel. To be honest, I just bought whatever the brother said. If he had said, yo, we've got dragon super fried fish, I'd be like, cool. Is it good in sushi? I'll buy that. All in all, I spent about £44 on the fish, another 10 to 15 on the ingredients, so about £60 all in, and that lasted well over 2 days, to the point where I was like, I can't eat any more sushi, so you don't need to spend that much. The first thing you're going to want to do is measure out your rice. I went with 500 grams because that's nice and easy, but you don't need that much. This is a lot of sushi rice, by the way. Wash your rice. I know some people say do, some people say don't. Man, wash your rice. Just wash the starch off. You should be washing your rice in general anyway. But yeah, wash the rice. And when the water runs clear, you're good. Wash in cold water, by the way. It seems obvious, but I'm gonna let you know. And into the rice cooker. Again, if you don't know about rice cookers, boy, you're missing out. In Japanese, this is called a suihanki. In my kitchen, I call it a flipping godsend. But you can, of course, do rice on a pot if you prefer. Next, you add cold water and set it to cook. I prefer filtered water for this to maintain the purity, but you do you. For 500 grams of rice, in a rice cooker, I'd say 500 milliliters of water, so 1 to 1. I actually did 5-10, so 1 to 1 plus 10. And yeah, you just set it to cook. And whilst it's cooking, you can prepare your veg. Make sure to wash your cucumbers, dudes. Cut it up. And you can use cucumbers, avocados, carrots, sweet peppers. We did cream cheese in one of them, actually. And yeah, just pre-prepare, cut them into strips. Actually, for these, I cut them a bit too thick. I realized that afterwards. So you want thinner strips, ideally. Makes the roll easy. And now the rice is ready. And this is what I was talking about with the rice earlier. If you got it right, this rice should be sticky. Like you touch it and it's just sticking to stuff. So you know you got a sticky rice. Ooh, wee. Allow the rice to cool, and in the meantime, we get the sushi vinegar. Now, what the vinegar does, it actually changes the pH of the rice to the acidity to below 4.2 pH. So it preserves the freshness of the fish because we're working with raw fish, and by making the rice more acidic, it helps kill off the bacteria, the potential bacteria on the raw fish, and that keeps it fresh. And sushi vinegar is actually made up of rice vinegar, sake, salt, sugar. Don't ask me what the mixture is, I don't know. But when I smell it, I was like, oh, that's that sushi smell. And if you try this for yourself, and I hope you do, when you smell it, you'll know exactly what I mean. And you're gonna wanna pour this sushi vinegar carefully over the rice. Don't just pour it in one spot. That's why I used a spoon to help meter it out. And you fold the rice in over itself. So you don't stir it because you're gonna break the rice up. You fold it carefully to distribute the mixture, the vinegar over it. Then you just leave the rice to cool to room temperature. That may take a little while, but it has to be at least room temperature. It can't be too hot. This is a makisu, a bamboo mat that you use for rolling the sushi. Here's my lovely wife preparing it for us. We're using cling film to help keep it clean, and because the rice is going to stick to it. And this is basically how I learned to do it anyway, so yeah. And just so you know, the word sushi was derived from sumeshi, but later the me was dropped and it became sushi. Su, meaning vinegar, and shi, meaning rice. Other translations include sour rice, sour flavor. The vinegar and the rice are, like I said, integral to this. I keep the knife in a glass of water. Trust me, it makes cutting so much easier. You lay the nori, the seaweed wrap, onto the bamboo roll, and you start spreading rice across it. About halfway to just under 3/4 of the way up the seaweed. Just spread a thin layer of rice. Wooden utensils I find are better for this. The rice is really going to stick, so just take your time with it. And there you go, just flatten that out nicely. Make sure that you got the seaweed on the correct side of the mat so that when you roll it, it actually rolls the way that you want. You'll see what I mean in a second. And you just take a nice thin strip of fish. When I was doing this, actually, I was doubling up. I was doing like salmon and tuna together and stuff. You can really get creative with this. Lay your veg down. I've seen some people lay it on top. I prefer to lay it to the side. So we've got the cucumber on the side there, so. We added some cream cheese. Don't hate me. It was nice, what? There you go. And then you just take the roll. You get your fingers underneath it, like so. Watch my wife. Yeah. You put your fingers right there on the seaweed and you roll through. And effectively what you're doing is sticking the rice to the seaweed. So you don't roll all the way to the top, you roll it to the top of the rice. Yeah? And then once you got that, you press in with the bamboo mat. Do you see that there? And then you roll it round so that the rest of the seaweed, the part without the rice, sticks to the outside. If you need a bit of help, you can use a bit of water to help that. And so you should end up with a roll like that. Don't watch that rice at the end coming out. This was the first one we did. Look, leave me alone. Anyway, and then you take your knife out of the glass of water and you cut through. And because it's been in the water, it should cut through a lot smoother. Of course, you want your knife nice and sharp. But just take your time. You want a nice, smooth cut. Again, I'm not an expert on this, so it's not going to be like, you know, like Michelin star, but it was good. It was really good. Look at this. It's beautiful. Don't lie. It was beautiful. And like I said, we had so much sushi. So much, in fact, I was giving it away. So much. You don't need to spend as much as I spent on this. So yeah, some wasabi, add in your soy sauce, your shoyu, mix it together, dip your sushi, and enjoy, dudes. Again, I don't know why I'm blowing it. It's cold. You can do a little dance if you want. So nigiri, make sure you say that right, I'm watching you, is when the fish, this time prawn, is on the outside of molded rice. This is maki, seaweed on the outside. Udamaki is rice on the outside, seaweed on the inside. If you're doing eel, make sure you warm the eel in the microwave slightly before you put it in the wrap. The sushi utensils, the knife, the bamboo mat, the chopsticks I got from Amazon. And look, it's not going to be restaurant quality, but it was flipping delicious and a lot of fun to make. So I really hope you try this at home for yourselves. Bon appetit, dudes. Itadakimasu.
Just a suit. Would I do it all again? I got these voices in my head. Said, would I do it all again? Every time I feel that feeling.